Some people never raise their voice. They never argue. They never beg for attention. And yet when they walk into a room, something shifts. People listen. People back down. People think twice before crossing them. That is not luck. That is not personality. That is language. Specifically, it is 5 phrases rooted in samurai philosophy that signal to everyone around you that you are not someone to be tested. And here is what makes these phrases different from anything you have heard before. They do not make you sound aggressive. They do not make you sound defensive. They make you sound like someone who has already won before the conversation even starts. By the end of this video, you will have all 5, and you will never communicate the same way again. Welcome to Void Dojo. There is a concept in samurai philosophy called Fudoshin. It translates as immovable mind. The samurai who possessed Fudoshin did not need to intimidate anyone. They did not need to threaten. They did not need to raise their voice. Their words alone communicated something that made people instinctively step back. That quality is not something you are born with. It is something you practice. And it starts with knowing exactly what to say and what not to say in the moments that matter most. Here is the first phrase. Phrase 1. I hear you, and I will think about it. Most people, when they feel disrespected or pressured, do one of 2 things. They either explode, which makes them look reactive and weak, or they collapse, which makes them look like a pushover. There is a third option, and the samurai knew it. A man named David worked in sales. His manager had a habit of piling extra work on him without asking, then criticizing the results publicly in team meetings. One day, his manager dropped 3 new assignments on his desk with the words, "I need these by tomorrow." No excuses. David did not argue. He did not apologize. He looked up calmly and said, "I hear you, and I will think about it." His manager paused. He had expected either immediate compliance or pushback. He got neither. And in that pause, something shifted. His manager actually reduced the deadline to 3 days. What happened there is not magic. It is psychology. The phrase "I hear you" removes defensiveness from the conversation. It tells the other person they have been acknowledged. But "I will think about it" signals that you are not a vending machine. You receive input, you process it, you decide. You do not simply comply because someone spoke loudly. That combination, acknowledgement without submission, is one of the most powerful social signals a human being can send. And the samurai knew it centuries before psychology had a name for it. Phrase 2. That is interesting. Tell me more. Here is something most people do not understand about respect. The people who command the most of it are almost never the ones talking the most. They are the ones asking the questions that make other people feel exposed. A woman named Sarah was in a meeting where a colleague publicly challenged her work in front of the entire team. The old version of Sarah would have defended herself immediately. Instead, she leaned back slightly, looked directly at her colleague and said, "That is interesting. Tell me more." The room went quiet. Her colleague, who had expected resistance, suddenly had to elaborate. And the more he elaborated, the more it became clear he had not thought his criticism through. He buried himself. Sarah never said a single defensive word. That phrase does something specific. It forces the other person to either back up their claim with substance or reveal they have none. It positions you as the calm observer, not the reactive participant. And in almost every social situation, the calm observer is the one people respect. The samurai had a saying, "The sword that stays in its sheath longest is the sharpest." Asking questions instead of defending yourself keeps your sword sheathed, and it terrifies the people who were hoping you would draw it. Phrase 3. I understand what you want. Here is what I can do. This one has ended more toxic dynamics than almost any phrase in this video, because it does something that most people never learn to do. It separates what someone demands from what you are actually willing to give. A man named James had a friend who constantly borrowed money and never paid it back. Every time he asked for more, James felt guilty saying no. Until one day he used this phrase. His friend asked for $300. James said, I understand what you want. Here is what I can do. I can lend you $50. That is my limit right now. His friend pushed back immediately. James simply repeated the second half. Here is what I can do. What this phrase does is replace apology with clarity. You are not saying no. You are not saying yes. You are defining your terms, calmly, without explanation, without guilt. And when someone pushes back, you simply repeat the second half. Here is what I can do. That phrase does not invite negotiation. It closes it. The samurai understood that a warrior who cannot define his own limits will eventually be defined by someone else. This phrase is how you define yours. Phrase 4. I do not have anything to add right now. Most people feel compelled to fill silence, especially when they are being pressured, challenged, or criticized. They explain, they justify, they overtalk, and every word they add weakens their position. The samurai trained silence as a weapon. Not cold silence, not passive-aggressive silence, deliberate silence. The silence of someone who is fully present, fully aware, and choosing not to speak because speaking is not necessary. A woman named Michelle was in a heated family argument where multiple people were talking over each other, demanding she take sides. Instead of explaining herself, she looked around the table and said, I do not have anything to add right now. The room stopped. Everyone expected her to pick a side. When she did not, the argument lost its fuel. Within minutes, it had deflated entirely. That phrase signals something profound. It signals that you are not available to be pulled into chaos. It signals that your words are deliberate, not reactive. And it signals that you are comfortable enough in your own position that you do not need to defend it in real time. People do not mess with someone like that, because they cannot find a way in. Phrase 5. We can continue this conversation when the tone changes. This is the most powerful phrase in this video, and it is the one most people are afraid to use. A man named Michael had a boss who used to raise his voice during disagreements, not because he was angry, but because he had learned that volume intimidated people into backing down. One day during a meeting where his boss had begun shouting, Michael looked at him calmly and said, "We can continue this conversation when the tone changes." Then he stopped talking and waited. His boss had never experienced that response before. He had always gotten either submission or escalation. He got neither, and the meeting ended with his boss lowering his voice and restarting the conversation. What that phrase does is set a condition without issuing a threat. You are not threatening to leave. You are not escalating. You are simply stating the conditions under which you are willing to engage. And those conditions are non-negotiable. The samurai called this holding the gate. A warrior does not let anything through the gate that he has not chosen to let in. Your attention, your engagement, your time, these are your gate, and you decide what enters. 5 phrases, each one rooted in the same principle the samurai lived by. That real power is never loud. It is never desperate. It is never reactive. Real power is the person in the room who speaks least and is heard most. who acknowledges without submitting, who questions without attacking, who defines their terms without apologizing, who chooses silence over reaction, and who sets conditions instead of issuing ultimatums. That is Fudoshin, immovable mind. You do not need to be the loudest person in the room. You need to be the one nobody wants to test. Tell me in the comments, which of these 5 phrases are you going to use first? I read every single one. The path is long. Walk it anyway. This is Void Dojo.